Hello. We're gonna get into this digital marketing stuff again in about a minute. I'm gonna let everybody get in after they receive the notification of us going live. So let's wait a few seconds. Today is going to be about irresistible strategies and offers to stay away from, where people try to promise you the world for $5. We all know how that ends up. It's kind of going to Chinatown and buying real Gucci handbags and watches. They got real Rolex down there. So this is something similar. Anyway, so 2, 1. Okay, so welcome to our next installment of digital marketing. Today it's called Irresistible Strategies and Offers to Stay Away From. What we'll be talking about is the various $5, $10, $100 offers, but even some of the more expensive ones, and even some people, how to get into websites and how do you recognize a good website. Anyway, so it should be a good close to half hour probably of interesting information for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment or ask a question in the comments below. I will also post later, when we get to it, I will post the results of some of our websites and the links, so you could click on the GT metrics, but that's going to be later on. And if you want us to take a look at your website, if you want us to evaluate it, see what it is, tell you something about it, give some feedback. It's like we're not going to spend hours on it, of course, but we'll give you some basic ideas about how you stand, how you're viewed by the search engines. So drop us a comment line thing, and even if it's not live anymore, if you're watching it from a rerun, we'll get back to you too. I mean, if you do it live, we're going to get back to you shortly. If you do it on the rerun, it may take a little while. It may take an hour or two, a couple of hours maybe, before we get back to you, but we will get back to you. So if you're looking to get some live info or some valuable info, let us know. And also the next week's event is already up there. So it's going to be the first week of February already. First month went by fast. So feel free to sign up for that one because it's there. And now, the old boring me is gone. And I'm going to let Jason take you through most of the presentation with me interjecting here and there just to keep it more fun and maybe adding some information as I feel necessary when I feel that it's important. But anyway, so Jason, take it away. We're going to Japan.
Thanks, Corral, for welcoming back to one of your webinars. Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Ho. I partner with NC Web Dev on the web design and the digital marketing side of the business. So today, our webinar is really focusing on those irresistible offers that you should stay away from. Because a lot of the times, whether it's this industry or maybe in any of our industries, there's a lot of people out there who are creating product or services that, if you're in the industry, it's very easy to recognize that it's not the greatest thing. And while I don't like to use this word, but it could be considered as a ripoff. However, for many of us, for example, I've been primarily in the financial services. And when I first started in the marketing side of the business, I could tell you that there's a lot of stuff that surprised me. So I'll tell you one quick story. When I first really started working and we're trying to grow our business, we partnered with a marketing firm that told us that, one of the more effective strategies nowadays, we're using blast voicemails. Now, in hindsight, that was not a good idea. But at the time, we didn't really know, and we're kind of leaning on their expertise. What we ended up finding out was, they set up this blast voicemail for us. And essentially, they used our office line, and they were blasting out, I don't know, it was like thousands of calls on an hourly basis. And, and we weren't really getting that great of results. But what ended up happening was, because they were blast spamming these voicemails to people, eventually our office line, when we call out to people, it will show up as scam likely. So here's a question I'll ask you. When was the last time anyone here has picked up a call when the first thing you see on your phone is scam likely? So as you could probably figure out, that became a huge problem for us in our business. Took a lot of time and money to fix it. So the moral of the story is, sometimes if you're not partnering up with somebody that that you can trust, who has a real expertise in what they're doing, however cheap it is, it's typically not worth it. So one of the next slide we talk about is digital marketing automation. So yes, there are definitely methods in which you can automate some of your digital marketing. However, you got to understand that if you were to do it correctly, there are limits to what you can do. For example, there are services that can help you send out invites for LinkedIn connections. But most people don't understand is there is a limitation of about 100 invites per week. Any more than that, LinkedIn will see you as a spammer. Anytime it's considered spam, or they believe you're using bots, or what the case may be, your profile will be, basically set up as such, labeled as such. And when that happens, again, it's very difficult to fix a lot of these issues, because a lot of these things that were created was to protect a lot of us, to protect the systems or the websites from having these issues. So yes, there are automations that you can purchase and you can work on. However, just be aware of what the limitations are. And on the slide are just some examples of what to look out for. The next thing you'll see is a slide talking about buying reactions, likes, and subscriptions. Again, one of the biggest things with digital marketing is how many people are following you or subscribe to you, or how many people are liking and seeing your posts. And there's a lot of services out there that kind of talks about that. Like, yes, if you sign for us and you buy this package, we can guarantee you X amount of likes on your posts or X amount of likes on your videos. Again, it sounds good, right? Especially if that's what you're doing. You're trying to build your business. But the reality of it is, unfortunately, it's never that simple. And majority of the times, whether it's likes or subscriptions, it's not something that's organic. A lot of them could be their own people. It could be bots, which, yes, having 100 likes on your next post sounds great. But at the end of the day, if it did nothing for you, if it didn't put you on top of the page, if it didn't spread your message to more people that will actually look at it, then it's almost like, what's the point of it? So one of the things we talked about, as an example, it's this company called Buzzoid, right? As you see here, they don't really have any free packages. They're not super expensive, but again, it's something that sounds easy. And unfortunately, when you use services like this, you might get some results, but in the long run, it's something that will more likely not hurt you. Again, using services like these, what could happen is that if, let's say, your account was labeled as spam, well, these guys don't really care. It's a matter of, well, we did this for you. The consequences, it's not our problem. You got to figure it out yourself. So again, you really don't want to work with something like that, because at the end of the day, it's about relationship and respect for each other.
Yeah, here, thanks, Jason. Let me just add something here. You did a really good job on this, and let me just explain a little bit more about the respect that you talked about. I mean, it's key. These guys don't care. They'll sell you 500 likes for $6.99, but basically, for the most part, if you take the $6.99 and throw it out the window, it's probably going to do the world more good, maybe even to you, because you could at least could have a good feeling about maybe helping somebody who walked by and just picked up the money, because it's going to have the same effect, but you're going to feel better. So your business is not going to be any better or worse off. And yeah, these guys, if they block your account, they really don't care. It's like, it's none of your problem. We bought it, we did it in your name. It's your problem. You got blocked. Well, we're still here and operating. So even the social media, they don't go after these guys. They go after you because, you're using it. It's your name out there. So, take it easy. Research carefully who you're dealing with. Don't go crazy because you may get burned and you will get burned. So it's better to wait a little bit, do it naturally, and just, stick with it and it will come. So here, my digital marketing email list. What I'm talking about here is generally cold emails. When you buy a list, the regular price, let's say, would be about $500 for each CPM, which means customers per mil, or it says conversions or customers, but consumer email list you're buying. So in case the C means consumer. So the CPM is 500 for 1,000 consumers. So you buy 1,000 emails, you pay $500 for it. That's about what they go for. You may find cheaper, but again, you always get what you pay for. So again, we're going to stick with 500. So you buy 1,000 names for $500. That means at a 1% conversion, you got $50 per customer that converted. That's great. However, you got to look at it this way. And the chart next to it is you buy 1,000 emails, the outdated dead boxes that are in that, because the guy that sold you the email list, he's not looking to, update it and keep it fresh. He's trying to sell it, get rid of it. He sold it to you and 50 other people. So, and some of them, the fairer ones, they keep it a little bit more updated. Some of them don't, but it's all about the selling of the list. And yeah, they like to, if they want to sell you multiple times, of course they'll refresh it in some way or another. But trust me, we did it with Jason in previous project that we're working with together on, and yeah, it's about half of them. About half the lists are just dead boxes or not verified. And so when you verify them, you're going to get about half of them. And then, some of them are not going to be really in the target group, but they're not in a business anymore. They may still, that email may be good, but you always want to verify it because you don't want to get a high bounce rate, because that's going to get your email, just like that. You're going to get blocked. So, and then you can even send your business email out. Once you get on a spam list, it's the entire domain. It's not just that one box. It's usually the entire domain. So you got to be careful. But anyway, so you're paying about $50 per customer at a $500 CPM. Now, according to the pie chart, out of target, that varies. But let's say for this sample or example, let's say you have 20% quality leads. So you got to do a conversion from the 20% quality leads. Now, that conversion, that means you're going to get, at 1%, you're going to get 2 customers. What happens with 2 customers? Well, 2 customers for $500. For $500, 2 customers, that's $250 a customer. If you're selling something for $50, don't buy the email list. Unless it leads to something more important, better, et cetera, et cetera. So, stay away from that if you're not really doing big business. It works. You're going to spend a lot of time. You make a little money. But again, natural generation of emails through multiple things that we talked about last week, how you can generate naturally these things. So don't fall for these long emailed list satisfaction guaranteed stuff. The next one is something that I've looked into, and it's very interesting, but let me get back to Jason, who's definitely a better speaker than me again. I will repeat that, and I will concede my time to him now. Jason?
Now, the next slide that's showing here is talking about again, I think there are a lot of services out there that boast that, website design could be something that's very cheap and affordable and easy and anyone can do it. Yes, and that's absolutely true. If you listen to any podcasts or watch any YouTube videos, more often than not, you'll find people who are promoting these services, such as Squarespace and stuff like that. Not to say that there's anything inherently wrong with Squarespace. You just got to understand that, you're getting what you paid for. Or on this slide, it talks about somebody that's charging, $150 for a professional website. But what does that really mean? They threw out the word professional, but, again, do you know what a amateur website versus a professional website, what it looks like? What's the difference? Do you know what a $10,000 website versus a $50,000 website looks at? Or even better yet, do you know what a $150 website looks like versus something like $6,000? And more often than not, people cannot. I will tell you an example. When my wife started her esthetician business and she started really growing, she asked me some advice on a website. She was using a website service that wasn't the greatest. Her website looked fine. Again, nothing wrong with it, but when we helped her do it instead, she could then, see side by side what this essentially $100 website versus a $5,000 website looks like. She could really see the huge difference, and it's really noticeable. But again, more often than not, if you're not somebody who is really active or really understands website designs, it's really difficult to really figure out, did I buy a good product or buy a bad product? Again, I've been in your position, so that's why I'm almost telling you guys is don't make the same mistakes I'll make. You'll see in the next webinar, the series of webinars, we'll talk about, the top 5 mistakes you're making or the top 5 things you should be doing. Because again, I'm very passionate in helping people, and I want to make sure that, again, if your current means can only afford you X amount of dollars a month on digital marketing, then you know what? It is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. But you just got to understand that, understand what it looks like. So, what I don't want happening is people scamming you in some way, right? And versus, if you have more money, what does it look like? Because again, as you'll find, there's a lot of people out there who says, yes, I do, $10,000 worth of a product to you. I'll sell it to you. That's my service is worth. You'll find that more often than not, that's not true. And that's what we're trying to do today, is just trying to help educate people.
Yeah, Jason, it is about education. Let me add something here with this slide, because when I was doing this, and both me and you know how it works, but I was working on this and I looked at this company, and this company's the first one that came up. And I don't know who they are. I couldn't care less. But when I try to research a company, I look at their website, I look at their address, and then I put it into Google Streets. And, Google Map, and go to the street, you see some back end road with something somewhere, and there's no business. So it's 2 things. They may exist. It may be just a dead box, but still, there's no business page. That means Google didn't verify that there is a business there. For whatever, there's multiple reasons. Maybe they just don't care. But if you don't have a Google business page, you're not a respectable business by any means. But that is why you're selling $200 websites. So yeah, you could research that. I mean, it took me like 2 seconds, and I'm sure there's a lot more things that would be, let's say, peculiar about it. But yeah, I didn't want to go into much of a detail. This is enough. I mean, if I don't see a company on Google Business and they're telling me how they're somewhere in California, it's like, yeah, good luck. And if I send them my $200, will they do the website? More than likely they will do something, but will they be there 6 months later? What kind of a job will they do? I don't know. I can't even, so just, yeah, that's a no-no. Anyway, Jason, so that's just what I wanted to add. I'll let you go into LinkedIn automation. Take it away.
The next thing we talk about is, again, I mentioned a little bit earlier in the presentation about LinkedIn automation, right? So there are a lot of these things, and most of them pretty much are not, they're frowned upon with LinkedIn. Now, again, there are ways to utilize it, but again, it's a matter of how much do you do it. So tools are great as long as you know how to use it. Again, the worst thing that happen to you, again, especially in the digital marketing space, you don't want to be seen as a spammer or or a bot, because at the end of the day, those are never good. So just be very aware of that. Again, we mentioned just earlier about bad websites. And I will tell you that more often than not, it's really not the websites that are bad, it's the bad website designers. Because what we face a lot in our industry is that, we are competing against various companies. Some of these guys are larger companies, maybe they're more established, maybe they have all these staff. It's a lot of like fluff, right? But then when you really look at their websites versus the websites we made, the question becomes, okay, let's say I showed you 9 of our websites that we have done in the previous, for our previous clients. And then you showed against their 9 websites. The question you want to think about is, okay, well, which one is better? Easy question. However, the answer may not be as easy because, again, if you are not somebody who does this for a living, or at least have an understanding what look out for, it's kind of hard to judge. So to kind of help you guys with that, not a lot of people are aware of a website called GT Metrics, right? It is again, a free website. And it basically, if you input the website onto their website, it basically runs the website and it gives you a grade from A to F, right? And there's a lot of things that kind of measures, right? But it gives you an overall score. So here's an example of, we recently competed against another company, and the client says, well, right now we're working with this company, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. Not a problem. I said, okay, hey, listen, that's fine. And I asked the client, I said, well, how do you know it's good? Right? What is it you're looking for? And they really had no idea. So you know what? I'm going to make this real easy. I'm not going to sit here for half an hour explain to you, right? But just do me a favor. Ask them for a couple of examples of clients they work with in the past, right? And here's a website, GT Metrics. Take their website that they've created in the past and plug into this website and just see what kind of grade you get. They call me back the next day. This is, JC, I don't understand what I'm looking at. It's a score of F. Could you explain to me what this means? I said, not a problem. All right. So we sat down to go through everything. We showed them our websites, which will show in the next slide. And they said, wow, we really didn't quite understand what to look into. I said, hey, listen, that's a normal thing. I think a lot of times, unless you speak with somebody who is really focused on the quality of the work, it's easy to fall into some of these traps. So again, a lot of this presentation today is really talking about, really understand what you're paying for. Because sometimes there are people out there, again, who are charging $10,000 to build something for you. But in reality, they might be spending only $100 to do it. And they're preying on the fact that you don't understand the differences. The last slide is, again, just checking it out. It's listed right here. Again, there's a lot of websites, tools that kind of grade these websites. So feel free, if you think that I'm stacking the odds with GT Metrics, feel free to use any other ones. Again, all the websites we have made in the past are right there on the screen. Feel free to take a look at it. You'll get to see an example of what kind of designs we do, and then what kind of grades we get. Again, ultimately, I'm using an example of my wife. We really believe that website is just not a website. A website is really a digital storefront for you and your company. And, we want to make sure that, again, if you were to have a store, it's very easy to step in the store and really figure out, well, yeah, I love the designs. I see the back room. There's the bathroom. There's a checklist that most people pretty much can figure out whether or not they like the space or they like the way the space is arranged. But when it comes to something like a website, again, most people don't quite understand the inner workings because it's something that you can't really touch. People can put like just a fresh coat of paint on it, make it look good. But the question is, well, it may look okay, but how does it perform? Because again, for a bad website, that could be the death for many businesses. Think about the last time you visit any store's website, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a furniture store or whatever. And if you saw a website that was poorly made or just didn't run, I mean, more often than not, I feel like most people say, well, there's a lot of other stores like this. I'd rather just walk to somebody else that looked a little better. So that's why, again, I think, I know with the NC WebDev team, they worked with a lot of restaurants. I think restaurants are going through a challenging time right now. There's a lot of competition. I think Uber Eats is something that a lot of these guys don't quite understand how it works yet. Having something as simple as a clean, easy website with your menu design and having the ability to order direct from the website versus going through a third-party system. These guys who have worked with us, after they had the website, the first thing they always says, man, I wish I'd done this earlier. But you know what? While we do have that regret sometimes, I think that if we did it today versus 6 months ago, at least we got it done, right? We're hopefully you'll be here for a long time. So in the long run, it doesn't really matter. So guys, I would say that the next couple webinars, including this one, is really about helping people find the right people to work with. Now again, you may love to work with us. You'll have our contact information at the end of this presentation. Or you can have us take a look at maybe some jobs you're thinking of doing, or what maybe you're already in process of doing, and get our opinion on that. Consultation is free. I believe that in long-term relationships, so maybe we may not be the right fit for this one, or maybe it's already too late because you're almost done with it. Instead, think of me as somebody that you can always call, discuss something, and help you find the right partners for that. So with that said, guys, my name is Jason Ho. Again, you'll see all my contacts at the very end of this presentation. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'll probably see you guys at the next one. Take care, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Jason, for that. And I hope this whole thing was insightful, and you can reach out to our office, emails and number, or you, like Jason said, I put the contacts there for him to reach out to him. And again, don't be, for those who asked questions, great, during the live session. Those that didn't post anything, ones that didn't post anything, ask, reach out, feel free, we're here to help. And thank you, have a good night, and see you next week.